when you made reference to that. And Talmadge, I want to say thank you for being not only a great partner, but being a principled individual who day in and day out, along with Tom Craddock and our friends over on the Senate side, they understood as we implemented this different approach to taxing and spending. And there were a lot of folks that poked us in the eye. There were a lot of people, we heard the crying and the gnashing of teeth and the demise of the state of Texas that was just around the corner if we implemented those draconian cuts. Instead, those efforts set the philosophical tone for government spending and for government growth in Texas, and it transformed our state. Those reforms worked because they were based on the premise that the dollars that we discussed and that we appropriated came from the pockets of our citizens. They didn't come from some magical, bottomless pot of money. Every dollar that the government takes means less money for the employers to hire more workers, less money for families to invest in their children's college fund, less money for our citizens' retirement savings. The prosperity that our state enjoys today would have been hard to imagine, Jerry, when you think about 2003. We showed up here in January and there was a $10 billion budget deficit. You all have heard me rattle off these statistics before, but I'm going to do it one more time, just in case somebody might have missed it. Today, Texas is the #1 exporting state in the nation. Texas is the leading job creator in America. Nearly 1.2 million jobs have been created in our state over the past 5 years. Over the past 12 months, nearly half of the new jobs created in America were created in Texas. Texas has more Fortune 500 companies headquartered within our border than any other state. I suspect that the factors that you cited in your study have a whole lot to do with that. And as I reviewed your report, there were a couple things that kind of came to mind. The first one was that I figured Arnold wasn't going to be returning my phone calls. And the second one is that competition is what makes us stronger. And the fact of the matter is, as we said earlier in a private discussion, we want California to be successful. I want my neighbors to be successful. I want to push Oklahoma to pass the tort reform, Joe, that we passed in 2003. I want our competing states to look at us and say, that's where we need to go. Whether it's on things like taxes or whether it's regulations, whether it's the legal system. We want people to look at Texas and say, there's where we need to go. I want them to look at us and see that's where we can go if we're willing to be disciplined in our spending, in the way that we put our tax system together. If we're willing to go up against the special interests like we did with the personal injury trial lawyers and say this is in the best interest of our state. That's the power of what this says. It talks about that there are some pretty clear indicators for you to have an upper hand in this competition that goes on. And let's face it, we compete with each other, and it makes us stronger. And when you look at the Texas company is going to earn about $50 more per $1,000 of net income than its California counterpart, if you're a businessman or woman, that's going to open your eyes. When you add in the positive impact on dividends, which yield about $65 per $1,000 for a Texas-based, Texas-owned company, you're really talking about a reason to get to this state. And again, I want to really impress this. I love California. It's a great state. It's a beautiful state. They have wonderful people that live there. But what we want to do with this study is kind of grab California and shake them and say, listen, don't lose your state. Don't let this economy get so far away from you. Don't let the special interests get such a stranglehold on your state that this state goes bankrupt, because then it has a very powerful impact on the rest of this country. I hope that whether it's the governor or whether it's the legislators or whether it's particularly the businessmen and women who have so much at stake, that they look at this not as Texas is better than California, but that they look at it as a real roadmap. Because the fact of the matter is, had we not made the decisions that we made in 2003, had we just said, Wendy, oh my gosh, we didn't know it was going to be that big of a budget deficit. And we heard that, Arlene. I mean, we heard people say this, oh gosh, we didn't know it was going to be that big. Geez, isn't it about time y'all passed a personal income tax in Texas? It was written in editorials, a number of them. The fact of the matter is, it could be another state, Art, that you were sitting in making this speech about Texas, had we not had the disciplined, focused, conservative leadership of Tom Craddock and David Dewhurst and the members of the legislature working with our office. And today is as much a way to say thank you. Saying thank you to these members of the legislature and their discipline, as it is anything else. This is, you bet, I want people to look at Texas and say, you know what? I'm going to move to Texas. Davy Crockett was right. Art Laffer was right. That's the powerful message that we have today.